Hi guys, it's Not For Sale here, coming at you with a guide to Ossirian the Unscarred. Ossirian the Unscarred is the third and last boss in, I should say third and last main boss, because there are 6 total bosses, 3 of which are optional. So this is the third and last main boss in Encourage. So I'm just going to go over a strategy guide with you guys to really focus this boss and to give you guys an example of what he uses, who he is. So Ossirian the Unscarred is a single phase fight. This fight is solemnly focused on kiting him around to the different crystals that empower him. So this guide is to provide you tips and strategies for defeating Ossirian the Unscarred. So to go over a few things, he'll drop those, so that way you know and you have that, is the Book of Healing Touch, the Book of he drops Druid books, Hunter books, Mage books, Paladin books, Priest books, Rogue books, Shaman books, Warlock books, and Warrior books. You can get Cenarian Circle set tokens for the Ornate Hilt, the Spiked Hilt, the Ceremonial Ring, and the Magisterial Ring. Some exclusive drops are the Head of Ossirian, Bracers of Brutality, Crossbow of Imminent Doom, Gauntlets of New Life, Gloves of Dark Wisdom, Helmet of Domination, Leggings of the Black Blizzard, Mantle of Horusath, Ossirian's Bindings, Runic Stone Shoulders, Sandstorm Cloak, Sand Polished Hammer, Shackles of the Unscarred, and Staff of the Runs. So, some notable classes for this specific boss fight are going to be Rogues, Druids, Warlocks, Hunters, and Priests and Mages. We're going to go over some quick tips for DPS. So let's go ahead and start with Spellcaster, since a Spellcaster is what I'm playing on today. I'm on my level 60 Mage. I am Deep Fire. So if you have any questions about how I talent into that or anything like that, you can let me know below, and I'll be happy to go over a video of spell talents and why each one, what each spell talent you can spec into is. As well as which specs are the most reliable for each raid. So first of all, in this fight, spellcasters are going to need to be especially careful with their threat. It's relatively easy to steal aggro from tanks if you're DPSing under a positive vulnerability. Okay, so with that said, all spellcasters, when it appears, so what I do in this fight is I keep Frostbolt, I keep Scorch or Firebolt, and I keep Arcane Crystal or Arcane Missiles on my action bar. The reason I do that is because you don't want to pull aggro with them if you're a fire mage using Firebolt. So if you are a fire mage, you're just going to want to stack Scorch on him. The reason I say that is because, like I said, you don't want to pull aggro from the tank, because if you're squishy like me, that equals death. That's pretty much it. When it says arcane weakness, you're gonna want to hit them with your arcane missiles. When it says fire weakness, hit them with your with your Scorch if you're a fire mage, or your Firebolt if you're a frost mage. When it says frost, hit them with your Frostbolt. So Mele DPS, we're gonna go over what you can do next. So Mele DPS can damage Ossirian, but War Stomp can be a huge issue, so be prepared to retreat and bandage as needed. It is recommended not to DPS Ossirian at all during this first Ossirian crystal activation, so the tanks have a chance to establish threat without the threat of dying to Strength of Ossirian. This is very important that nobody DPSs during the first crystal click. And what I even say is don't DPS until the second click, okay? Tanks. You need to be careful with building threat while Ossirian is under strength of Ossirian. Cooldowns might be needed. Ossirian is immune to taunt, so threat must be constantly built at all times, especially while kiting Ossirian to vulnerability crystals. Both tanks need to build threat to prevent Ossirian from running away and target to prevent Ossirian from running away when targeted by enveloping winds. Healers. Ossirian Supreme mode does not apply to holy spells, so priests and paladins can help DPS him in a pinch. However, do not DPS Ossirian while he is in Supreme mode, as his melee damage during Strength of Ossirian is massive, okay? So, before the fight, just some quick tips to help people learn kind of what you can do to prepare. Ossirian deals very little magic damage. Mages can buff the entire raid with amplified magic. So here I'm not doing this. We've had this is a GDKP I'm running in this specific video. Although I do have some guild members here with me. But it's doable without amplified magic. But if you're having trouble with it, go ahead and have all of your mages buff the entire raid with amplify magic. This could take some time, but it'll be well worth it. So one person needs to be assigned as what I call a spotter. So pretty much this person will stay mounted for the entire fight and help spot Ossirian crystals around Ossirian's room, and that'll guide the raid to the closest one. So with that said, if you're a spotter, you're not going to want to run to one all the way across the room unless it's completely necessary. You're going to want to run to the closest, or you're going to want to ding on the map the one closest, as you can see they're doing right here. So we all run back to that one. Usually a rogue is recommended for this, as their damage is a bit more unreliable throughout the fight. And you're probably wondering, okay, so who's going to be in charge of actually clicking the crystal? So you can designate one person within your raid group to be in charge of clicking the crystal, and the two best options for this, in my opinion, are going to be mages and druids. Druids can switch into travel form pretty easily, especially if they have a macro set for that. And whenever they switch into travel form, they can run way faster. And then mages, they have the ability to blink like I just did and get to the crystal even quicker. So another thing to keep in mind, you need to make sure as a mage you're decursing at all times if you can. This also applies to anybody else with the ability to decurse. Just make sure you're decursing your tanks. Decurse healers first, then decurse tanks, in that order preferably. So this is a pretty simple fight. There's really there are a lot of bugs in my opinion in this instance. So you just got to be careful. You gotta really know how to handle this boss and what his threat is. So the strength of Ossirian and Ossirian crystals. Let's go over that real fast. The strength of Ossirian increases Ossirian's damage by 300% while under strength of Ossirian. His War Stomp will deal 1,500 damage while unbuffed with, and he will one-shot almost all melee classes with his War Stomp. So you have to watch out for that. The only way to remove the strength of Ossirian is to find an Ossirian crystal. They're scattered around the arena, and you have to kite Ossirian on top of them. The crystal will take a few seconds to activate. You can have someone click them shortly before Ossirian actually reaches the crystal. If the crystal is successfully activated while Ossirian is on top of it, Ossirian will lose his strength of Ossirian buff and receive a random debuff that leaves him much weaker to specific schools of magic. And this is what we were getting into earlier. We were getting into his arcane weakness, his fire weakness, his frost weakness, his nature weakness, and his shadow weakness. So like I said, if he is showing arcane weakness, you're going to want to use your arcane missiles. Make sure make sure you're decursing throughout all this, guys. It's really important, especially if you're a mage. Or any other class that can decurse. So arcane resistance is reduced by 100%, and arcane damage taken is increased by 100%. So that 100% applies to fire, frost, nature, and shadow. So when it's shadow weakness, you can't do much as a mage. You can't do much during nature weakness either. But I can recommend that you simply just use what you're spec'd into as a mage. So if you're a fire mage, use your fire, because you're still going to do a little damage on them, but not as much as you could have done. But I honestly hope that this covered all the basics. Just one more quick thing. Each weakness debuff will last for 45 seconds. Players who have ways of dealing damage with that specific spell school should do it, even if they aren't spec'd for it. So, like I said, I went into that a lot earlier. If you have more questions about that, go ahead and comment down below. I'll be happy to get back to you, or even make another educational video on this. But that's all for now. Let me know if you have any questions, and like I said, I'll get back to you. Thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll be back at you with more in-game content very soon, guys. Yeah.